Good afternoon. The name is actually Nikhil Nair, so thank you. So I think we've heard a lot about chatbots this morning, so and all the way into this afternoon. So I just decided that I'll come out here and be honest and say I'm not going to talk anything about chatbots. I just think what I'm going to talk about is the power of genuine conversations and how at Adobe we use the power of genuine conversations to go ahead and convert one of our most non-monetizable user base. So we will dive a little bit on there, and I was lying when I said I'm not going to talk about chatbots. I will be talking a little bit about chatbots, but more so I'm going to focus on the customer. And what we did at Adobe with this genuine story. So, quick introduction about myself. My name is Nikhil Nair, and I head strategy and analytics for the non-genuine conversion program at Adobe. So as you can see, it's a pretty long name that we have out there. So I wanted to actually go ahead and explain what non-genuine means. It's our name that we have given to anybody who is a pirated user of Adobe products. And that is why I said we're going to go after one of our most non-monetizable user base. So why did we go after this user base, and why did we consider them non-monetizable? The journey starts back in 2016. So back in 2016, a group of us got together at Adobe, and we figured out that everything that you see in that green section was our monetizable base. So we were not monetizing almost 87% of the products that we had out there. A lot of people said, hey, those are all legacy products, which is CS. So let's not focus on them, but we realized that's not all CS. 50% of them were CC. And when I CS, it means Creative Suite. Back in the days, we had CDs. Now it's all on the cloud called Creative Cloud. All right, so we have this huge problem, and now how are we going to go ahead and monetize 87%? So what we did is we said, let's go out there and see if there is a way for us to identify if we can go ahead and monetize that. Long story short, we figured out the total addressable market that we have for these users. So the total addressable opportunity for this market of users is almost 600 to 900 million. And guess what? We started in FY17 with $6 million, and then we started growing this business 3 times year over year. I'm of course not going to put the FY19 number, but I'm pretty sure most of us here know math. So how did we go about this? What is this journey all about? How did we actually, being a big company, change this dynamic we have around genuine conversations? So let me get a little bit into that. So what was different in what we did? So what's fraudulent software or non-genuine software? Even though we have products in CC, they are very much hackable. So anything that is software that is modified, or a key that was stolen and distributed, or something that was purchased from the gray market is what we deem as non-genuine. So we have mechanisms through which we can identify how many users of our products, even if they're paying us or not paying us, are actually hacking our software. So once we found that out, the second thing we wanted to know is, hey, are these people really inclined towards paying us? So we partnered with Microsoft to do an analysis of the user base of all users who are using softwares very similar to ours. And we found out that the world population can be divided, or the user demographics can be split into 3 different categories. The piracy inclined, the opportunistic, and the legally inclined. And as you can see, most of these opportunistic and legally inclined people are the ones who are ready to convert. So if you approach them with a different conversation, they will end up converting and buying your product, while the piracy inclined will not. And for our good luck, most of the opportunistic and the legally inclined were all in the top markets where we were operating. So now this gave us confidence to say, let's go ahead and operate on it. But we wanted to have a strategy on how we're going to go ahead and have this conversation. So what was different in our conversation? Okay, so our targeted users, every one of them who had an Adobe product, they actually believed they had a genuine product. So how are you going to go ahead and convince somebody that really the software you're using is not genuine? So we said, fine, they're going to be shocked. They're going to be angry at us. They're going to hate us. And we're going to stay with them. We're going to let them grieve their loss. And our response would be that of an emphasis on empathy and understanding. We're going to be there for them to vent out their frustration. And finally, we are going to use a data-driven customer-centric model to provide them with personalized offers. And these offers will then encourage them to convert. So with this strategy in mind, we went ahead and, as we say, if there is a business, there should be a funnel. So we had our own funnel where the top of the funnel was all the users that we actually knew had this software which was non-genuine inclined. Middle of the funnel was all about identifying them, knowing who's using what kind of product, figuring out what customer experience they should get, and the bottom part of our funnel was all about go-to-market, conversion, and customer experience. Now, in this journey, we had two different go-to-market strategies for our users. The first one was the direct message. Basically, what that means is we would actually pop up notification on users' machines that will allow them to go to a landing page. And from the landing page, they could either convert on adobe.com or they could go to a phone agent or a chat service to convert. And in this process, what we did is we developed a nice customer experience that had 10 phases. And each of these phases was a 40-day journey that we put our customers through. The first part of the journey is friendly and informative. As you know, when you first see a message pop up, you either ignore it or you open it. And when you open it, it has to be informative. So we would stay with the customer and kind of informing them why they're getting this notification. Following which, we would then take it to an escalated tone if we see that the customer is not engaging. And finally, we would go down the path of app termination. Now, for us, app termination is almost like divorce. We really threaten people with that. We don't do it. So, and most of our users convert before that. So we never had to do that for our customers. Anyway, so that customer journey allows us to push people through our e-commerce platform and get them to have and convert through our e-commerce platform or chat or phone. And the second strategy for us was around, oh, by the way, this is actually one of our landing pages or the notification that you get that takes you to a landing page, and we get people onto our customer care team, which has a very high conversion rate, or to adobe.com, which also has a very high conversion rate. So moving on to businesses. So all we saw right now with the direct message campaign was for consumers. Now we knew a lot of businesses, be it small businesses or enterprises and named accounts, had the same issue. Now, while dealing with these people, you have to be very careful because brand is at risk and a lot of other factors. So again, once again, we rely on our data to give us the right segmentation of who's a small business, who's an enterprise, and our focus, once again, remained at the customer. And when we actually went to these customers, we focused on building a brand, building a relationship, and actually helping them clean up their own environment. And we did not resort to anything about closing the gaps or selling a license or, talking to them about renewals, nothing. So finally, we go into a multi-touch customer-centric engagement. Basically, what we do here is we don't talk about money. Even to our biggest accounts, we don't talk about money till the very end. We believe that a customer, when dealt with that kind of an experience, starts to have trust in us. So with that, I just spoke about the problem. I just spoke about what we had as a strategy. Now I want you guys to hear what a genuine conversation sounds like, right? So here we have a customer whose name is George W., not the George W. that you guys are thinking. He does have a Texan accent though. I'm going to take you through all the 7 stages of grief that we believe every user goes through when we actually target them with this kind of notification. But given the lack of time, I'm going to stick to some of the key emotions that the user can see. So, Stefan, if you can play the first part.
My name is Josh. How may I assist you today? Yeah, Josh, my name is George Williamson, and I got a problem.
Okay.
I'm trying to use my Adobe Acrobat, which has been on this computer for well over a year, and I get some stupid pop-up message that tells me it's not properly licensed, and I've been using it for over a year. You have a series of possible explanations, none of which include that Adobe screwed up. I want to get this shit fixed.
Oh, I see. I'm sorry to hear that, sir.
See, that's a real customer, right? And that's what they feel that at the first time they see the message. They're pissed off, right? And you can see the agent is just not speaking about anything. He's just like, all right, go ahead. I'm going to listen to you more. And then comes anger. I really want you guys to listen to that one. That's really cool. Can you play that?
Well, the trouble with that is I don't know if I can trust Adobe at this point, but is this thing not going to run anymore on this computer?
Well, it'll still work for you, but unfortunately, if your purchase was not made, directly through an Adobe authorized reseller or directly from Adobe, then you could have been exposed to counterfeit, pirated, or I'm not.
It's not counterfeit. It's not pirated. This is a genuine Adobe Acrobat. I've got the box, man. Look, it may not have been. I don't know what y'all call a authorized reseller or whatever you said. I bought it from somebody. I can't remember. It was either from an Amazon, which is probably where it came from, but I don't actually remember. I do buy stuff from Amazon, and obviously they wouldn't sell anything that they didn't think was genuine. I wouldn't have bought it.
See? So I don't want to make this an Amazon pitching session. No, Amazon is doesn't have any role to play in this. But most of the users go on marketplaces and trust them blindly because they feel everything that's sold there is genuine. They feel that marketplaces are actually making an attempt, which I hope they are, to actually clean up and have only certified resellers. That's not the truth. A lot of our software gets actually proliferated through these resellers. Some of them are platinum resellers, and they land up on places like Amazon. So what I want to focus here is about the brand. You can see the customer is sticking to the point that Adobe screwed up. Like, they are not blaming anybody else, they're blaming Adobe. So what do we do in this kind of a scenario? In this kind of a scenario, we again try to just wait and see what the customer has to do or customer has to say and let them vent out. And I wish I could go through the entire series, but that's pretty long. So I'll get to the understanding piece of it real quick, where the customer, what happens is, the customer gets into a bargaining mode first to see that, hey, is there a way you can give me a discount? Is there a way you can do something for me where I can get this? We don't talk about selling in our calls, so we don't even go into that conversation. But finally, we reach to understanding. So if you can play understanding.
It can look real, but it's not real.
In other words, they're that good that they manufacture this crap, and its appearance is perfect, more or less, but it's not real. They're just good manufacturers.
Correct, yeah.
They're good at cheating. Oh, that's great. All right. Well, look, I don't know I'm not mad at you. I guess what really bothers me is why would it take over a year for this to happen?
So imagine if I actually played that before I played shock and denial. Would you even ever agree that this is happening on the same call and the same customers going through these same emotions, and finally the customer's coming to a point where it's like, I know Adobe, you didn't screw up. I'm going to quickly move in to the next couple of slides, but this is where we actually talk to the customer and we say, hey, if you want, we'll give you a discount, right? You can uninstall that software right now and we'll give you a discount, or if you don't want it, you can keep the phone and call us back. In this case, the customer chose to not take the discount, they kept the phone, they called back and they converted. And this is what has been happening for a lot of our customers. So, what have we learned from this? That this genuine conversation works, but now getting to the point of chatbots. Today, I'm going to skip through this real quick now. This is just our workflow of our conversation on what we do. All right. So today, all of our conversations are done by agents, and the biggest challenge we have is training these agents and the operational costs associated with those agents. Where we are planning to go next is to use bots, but as you could see, the kind of conversations we are having a bot to have a completely genuine conversation and have that user convert seems to be difficult. I'm open to ideas and learning more here. But our strategy is to go ahead and use bot to human handoff to keep our high conversion rates, but to reduce some of our costs. And the same happens because we operate in big markets like US, UK, Japan, where a lot of our localization and culturalization is important. While it's easy for us to do that on our landing pages, we plan to do that on through bots too. So that's in a nutshell the story of how having a genuine conversation can actually lead you to be generating a business in millions and then almost 3 times year-over-year growth. So that's pretty much it from my end.
One question.
I just have a question pertaining to the bot to human handoff. I realize this is kind of my theme of questions for the day. Essentially, given the stages of grief that you talked about and seeing how—
Could you speak a little louder?
Yeah, sorry. Seeing how that's a little loud. Seeing how a customer flows through that conversation and experiences those 7 stages of grief, where do you envision the bot human handoff to occur in a way that allows the customer to feel that they're being valued, as opposed to having that automated portion during the period where they're most frustrated, most upset?
That's to be tested, to be very honest. Today, we don't feel like listening to a bot would help them ease their anger in any way. In fact, that would make them more frustrated. But we definitely see, some pilot that we could do there. Any other questions?
Thank you. No, that's it. Thank you very much. Can I get a round of applause for Nikhil?